Alrighty, let's get this party started. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unpacking Stories. My name is Mel, and I'm excited to bring you the final episode of the second collection of stories. Thank you so much for allowing me into your space and joining me on this journey each week. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but I really love getting to connect with so many of you and having the chance to talk to people about their journey. It's been honestly so much fun. I'm so happy to announce that there will be a season 3 of this podcast, but I do want to give you a bit of an update that I am going to be moving and we'll be getting settled into our new place. So I won't really be able to start recording for a bit, but I promise to keep you all updated on Instagram as we get season 3 ready to roll. For this episode, I wanted to do something a little different and talk about travel stories. So, Unpacking Stories, Travel Edition, Travel Stories? I don't know, I guess we'll have to workshop that. I have two of my really good friends on, Shannon and Nasreen, to talk all things travel, food, getting proposed to by strangers, spontaneous tattoos, and spending time in an elephant sanctuary, just to name a few things that have happened to us. While we can't wait to have our passports stamped once again, we're excited to take a trip down memory lane, recalling our memorable travel stories and experiences. I would like to mention a trigger warning that we do talk about a personal experience related to flying and the plane we were on. I will have that time code in the description below or the show notes below for anyone who wants to skip that part of the episode. I want to thank Shannon and Nasreen for taking the time to come on and sharing their stories. I'll have all of their info down below as well. Now, without further ado, enjoy the episode. Hello, Shannon. Hi, Nasreen. Thank you both for being here today. I'm really stoked to have you both here on Unpacking Stories Travel Edition. I don't really know actually what to call this yet because I didn't really think that much into it. Besides asking you both to be here. So this year, everyone stayed home. And so I figured, why not do an episode where we chat about fun, memorable, maybe some scary, and unpack our travel stories because we all really love to travel. And yeah, but first, I want to raise a glass and have a moment of silence to all the trips we did not get to have this year or were canceled.
I missed them.
Shannon, you had one criteria was to have a beverage.
Sorry. There's nothing in here, but you know.
Shannon has already been on here, so I don't know if you want to update or add, plug anything, Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon, co-host of two podcasts, the Blurs and Nerds podcast and the Black Column podcast. That's about it.
Hi, I'm Nasreen. I'm a friend of Mel's. I've known her for a long time now. And yeah, I live in the Bronx. I'm from New Jersey. I started like a homemade cookie biz not even a couple months ago, like last month, and I just sell them through Instagram, and it's called Nasreen Bake Shop. It took me a second to remember. But yeah, it's just on Instagram. If you search it, you can find it. All homemade cookies hand delivered to your door. So obviously you have to be in like New Jersey or like the New York City area and Westchester too. But yeah.
Yes, and they're very delicious. So if anyone's looking for homemade cookies, which might be hard to come by because there aren't a lot of events going on right now, then you should reach out to Nasreen. And she does a donation to a charity every month with part of the money she makes from the cookies, as well as has different flavors every month as well.
Yep.
So
there's special flavors, and it depends on what month it is.
Chocolate chip and hot cocoa. Cocoa were my favorite. Okay, so travel stories. We're gonna dig back. What is the earliest memory you each have of traveling?
I don't necessarily know what the earliest memory I have, but I obviously like know as a kid we did a lot of road trips. We also traveled internationally when I was a kid as well, but we did a lot of road trips. So I know we traveled we drove from New Jersey to Florida one time. We drove to Texas another time. Sometimes we would like camp. Other times we would, just stay in like hotels along the way. But I do remember that like my parents had this minivan, and because it was the 90s, I guess they thought it was okay. The seats would be out in the back of the car, and they would just put blankets down on the floor, and all like me, my brother, and my sister would all lay down in the back of the car. It's totally not legal, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I definitely remember a lot of road trips.
I think I remember going to Disney. My family, my mom, my dad used to take me and my brother to Disney World every summer when I was a kid, probably for like 5 or 6 summers. So I think that's what I remember most. And that's why I left
You
it.
would be my best friend in school because we could go to Disney World and I could hear everything about Disney World. We didn't take a flight to Florida. We drove to Florida, and my dad took out the seats and put in a mattress that my siblings and I slept. And to be real crafty, he added a TV that they had, like this box TV, which I actually had in my first apartment, that was VHS. And I remember my sister saying, don't watch all the DVD or don't watch all the VHSs like now because then we're not going to have anything to watch when we come back. And Brave Little Toaster was like one of my movies I watched over and over.
That's a great movie.
That is a great
One of
movie.
my favorite movies.
But yeah, so also agreed that I mean, I guess it was like a comfort thing. I liked it. I slept forever. It was nice.
It was fun. Just you know, reality of it, what's in question.
Yeah. Wouldn't recommend. What is the first trip you either planned for yourself or for you and some friends or anything along those lines?
I know that the first international trip that I really planned, like on my own, well, along with a friend, I want to say it was probably when I went to Ireland. My friend Des and I, like, it was partially like itinerized. I don't think that's a word, but it was partially like itinerary. But we did a lot of it on our own because we did like a self-drive vacation. So we landed in Dublin and then we had a rental car and we drove along like the southern coast. So we kind of just sat down, like looked at a map at Ireland because neither one of us had been there, and picked and chose places we wanted to stop along the way. So I think that was the first international trip. I had traveled internationally before then, but I hadn't really planned out kind of an itinerary for myself until I took that trip.
How was the planning process being your first one? Were you like intimidated or was it like, okay?
Not really. It didn't really intimidate me. And I think it's probably because I had traveled already. Like I had traveled internationally, like with my parents and on my own as well. Yeah, definitely. I traveled on my own internationally as well before then. But a lot of times it was like to England because I have family there. So it wasn't really planning per se. So it didn't intimidate me. Honestly, like there's not much about travel that intimidates me, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, the planning process didn't.
Nice. How about you, Shannon?
Uh, the first trip I planned by myself was not international. It was just to Texas. I went with some friends when I was in college. But my first international trip was our trip to Thailand. My first one that was planned. I had gone international before that, but like it was with like school, like with high school. But going to Thailand was the first one that I actually planned.
Yes, and we will jump into Thailand in a little bit. I'm very excited to talk about some fun stories from that time. For me, so I kind of skipped ahead. So going back when I was younger, we would go to El Salvador. And I guess the one I really remembered was, besides going to Disney World or driving to Disney World, was going to El Salvador in like 4th grade. And then I think I remember, or 5th grade. And then I think I remember some time before that where we had gone, and I really liked those. Even though my cousins aren't close to me, I can still kind of grow up with them. Like we have memories, we have photos. Like I was looking at an album the other day, and it's just nice to see like how we all grown up, and now we have like the age of cell phones. So it's crazy that we can actually just text each other or call each other or like Instagram each other. Where does everybody get their travel ideas from? If you're going on a trip, what do you sort of look for? Or do you have a bucket list of like ones you want to go to?
I don't know. Sometimes I see things on Instagram and I'm like, I want to go here. That's mostly where it comes from. Or just like general, I don't know. I guess from like interests in life, then you just come up with places you want to go to, or watching TV. I was supposed to go to Japan this year, but the pandemic ruined that trip. I guess it's just from seeing pictures and stuff online, I guess, right? I don't really know.
Similar to Shannon, like I do see some things online that like kind of are like, well, when I go to that country, like I really want to see that, or when I go to that place, I really want to see that, because like the truth of the matter is I kind of want to go everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the kind of person where you could like spin a globe and point and I'd be like, okay, cool, I'll figure out what to do. Like I'll like, and it's, to me, it's just all kind of research. Like if I don't know anything about the country, like a little bit of research. So like I had gone to England right before the pandemic, actually, like before the shutdown. So I went February 15th, I think. And I think everything shut down on March 16th, I think, in New York. So I was there a month before or whatever. And that's the first time I had gone to England and kind of did like the non-touristy tourist stuff, if that makes sense. Cause I've been to England so many times that like I was like, I don't want to go to Buckingham Palace. I don't want to see Big Ben. Like I've seen those things like a bajillion times. I mean, honestly, I went and passed by them anyway because I was walking, but I like did a lot of research into what to see in England, like when you kind of seen everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think research is part of it, and then honestly, like I'm very open when it comes to travel. So again, like I said, I'm like the kind of person spin a globe point, and I'll figure out what the country has to offer, like when I figure out where I'm going.
I completely agree. I think when I first planned to go on a trip with friends was actually Ireland as well, because I thought it would be an easy first trip. You know, it's still like you can get by with like obviously English, but everyone seems so nice, which is very true. I really enjoyed spending time there. What's your favorite way to plan your itineraries?
Planning my itinerary is always the worst part of planning a trip. Honestly, I don't like
Wait,
it.
why?
I don't know.
Is it like because of like the time factor or the research factor or
It's that. I mean, I like planning it to a degree, but I don't really like. It's my least favorite part. I like other people when I like when other people do it, and then they ask, like, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And I just give my opinion. But I don't like planning it top to bottom.
Yeah, I will say, I think out of all three of us, and we have traveled together before, would be Nazarene likes to plan majority of things or like get a situation going where we're like an outline. Shannon and I will be like, okay. And then like I feel like it kind of helps out because you can kind of just go with the flow. Because I'm kind of in between. Like I have ideas of what I want to do when I'm there, but I'm kind of open to any time really. Like it doesn't have to be like set. So I think it's like a nice balance.
I like having, like you said, like kind of like a framework for like what like because I travel internationally and like I spend quite a decent amount of time in the countries I go to. Like a lot of times I'll do multi-city trips. So like if I go to whatever, like Ireland, like clearly I said, like we drove along like the southern coast or whatever, or you know, I went to Italy a couple of years ago and we went to Venice, Florence, and Rome. So I like having a framework, just knowing like, okay, I have this many days in this city, I have this many days in this city, like what can I fit in where? And then
Yeah.
obviously some things do need to be purchased in advance. So that's kind of why I like having like that framework. But once I'm there, like other than those things that are pre-planned, I'm pretty open to like kind of doing whatever and seeing whatever. And I do, like you guys know this, I walk everywhere. I I walk everywhere.
Well, I like walking too because you get to see a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Like
like
we
meeting
were
with
in
people.
Dubai, like we walked a lot.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate your planning, Nazreen, especially for the Thailand trip because it did come in handy, especially since we were jumping to a bunch of different places. So
Yeah, which required flights, the most memorable flight of my life. Okay, so most spontaneous things either of you have done on a trip.
I mean, I guess it's not spontaneous per se, because like I said, I'm very open to kind of doing whatever, like when I'm in a country. Um, but I'm also not the most spontaneous person in the world. Like I'm not just like gonna, you know, like be in a country and hop on a train and go to like a random whatever, like, you know, or anything like that. But I mean, when I was in Morocco, I was apprehensive at first getting, because they travel everywhere basically by motorbike, and I was a little apprehensive like getting on the motorbike. But I was there visiting a friend, and her husband like takes motorbike everywhere, and he was like, well, I'm gonna drop you off, so like get on the back of this motorcycle. And I was like, I was like, and like literally like I'm like nails digging into him like as he's driving. And by the time I was done in Morocco, I was just like hanging on the back, like no hands. I thought it was so cool. But I mean, again, I'm not like the most spontaneous person in the world.
I don't think so either. I can't think of an answer to this, really. I don't know.
I would say your tattoo, Shannon.
Oh yeah, so when we were in Thailand, I got a tattoo by Not the monk itself, because monks are not allowed to tattoo women, but the monk's kind of like apprenticed or assistant. I don't really know the name for them. I got a tattoo by him with like an ancient, like, you know, like it's like a stick and a hammer, and they like chisel the ink in, kind of that way. So that's, yeah, I guess I completely forgot about that. Thank you. I didn't forget about the tattoo, but like I forgot that happened. So yeah,
it wasn't what I was thinking. Like when she asked for you, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I was like, if
when
she
we
doesn't
had
get a tattoo, I'm gonna be very surprised.
when we were researching Thailand, I saw a bunch of like videos and stuff about people getting tattooed by monks. So I was like, oh, I want to do that, but I didn't actually like book anything or plan it. And then it wasn't until like the last day that I was like, I'm gonna try to see if I can get this before we leave. And then I was able to get an appointment on the last day in Thailand, and then I did that.
Wait, was that really the last day?
Yeah, it was. It was when we went, because I got it when we went back,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't with you guys.
Last year when I was in, or I guess like a little bit more than a year ago when I was in Vegas, like we went to a club and Jamie Foxx was there, and that was kind of cool. And like I was like right up in front, like at like where the DJ was, and all of a sudden I heard everyone screaming and yelling and stuff like that, and I was like, what's going on? And then Jamie Foxx was like on stage, like this close to my face, like, and he was giving out like champagne and free drinks to like everyone in like the place. So that was like a little crazy, but again, it didn't involve any spontaneity on my part. I just showed up and Jamie Foxx happened to be there.
Remember when the solar eclipse, it was like 2-3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a huge thing, and people were like, if you go south or whatever, you'll be able to see it more, or you can like take a picture and it'll show it or whatever. So Julian and I decided to go to Rhode Island, not south, but we decided to go to Rhode Island. Literally, it was like we just hopped in a car, and he was actually calling on the way there to see if we can get like a B&B or like a hotel situation. We ended up at this bed and breakfast where that weekend the person who was on the phone with him asked him, are either of you like, do you hate cats? Are you allergic to cats? And we were like, no, like they're fine. I mean, he's allergic, but they weren't going to be in the room. But basically, there was like a convention or something that had to do with adoption of cats. And so we spent the night at this place that just had all these cats, and I was actually really cute. And this place was very like homey. So you eat at like a dining room table with everybody, and it was really nice. But I think that would be the most spontaneous. The other thing I guess I could say would be somewhat spontaneous was the last night we were in Thailand. Again, we like had separated from both of you, because you headed back the same way you came, where versus us, we had to head out from Phuket. And we actually, I don't know if I ever told either of you.
I saw this on your list and I said, what is Mel talking about?
So we rented a boat at the beach that we had been at earlier. Yeah, we rented a boat to watch the sunset.
Like when you drove yourself?
Yeah, well, we didn't drive the boat.
Like a speedboat? What kind of boat?
Yeah, it was a speedboat.
Oh. Yeah, you never told us that.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, I don't remember this. And I was
You're just like, what is she fabricating? No, yeah. So we rented a boat, and we rented it so we could watch the sunset, and we thought it was really cool. And we had, oh man, I wish I could remember his name. He was the guy who was driving the boat. He was so nice. We like hung out with him, and then he had stopped so that we could watch the sunset. And we actually did like, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember. It's like pieces of paper I brought that you could burn, and they like light up, and they're supposed to like fly away to give you like,
kind of like those lantern things,
cool. Like kind of similar to that, but it was just, I believe, sheets of paper, or maybe they did have a lantern. I remember it didn't really work out that well. They just kind of like went like oh well, if you're watching on the YouTube, they went like, here's the boat, here's us, and it just like pew, right to the water. Like, there go our wishes. So yeah, I think that was one of the more spontaneous, because we had some money left over. And so we were like, what are we going to do? I mean, we could take it back and try to exchange it, or we could rent a boat. And
it's probably better that you rented the boat.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. I think he actually lost his flip-flops somehow. He had to take my flip-flops back to the hotel,
and then bring you flip-flops.
And then he had to like buy flip-flops like on the street on the way back.
What did you wear if you didn't have your flip-flops?
I stayed at the beach.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I stayed at the beach waiting, and then we had food because they had like the shacks and everything and all the food there, and it I can't remember what we had. I'd have to look back. I know we have pictures and stuff, but yeah. So rented a boat and then drove to Rhode Island. I actually like that because there's not much you can plan when you do those kinds of things.
Mhm.
You kind of go with the flow. So yeah. Have either of you tried anything out of your comfort zone while you're there
Specifically in Thailand or just in general?
Yes, when
in life?
I
In
ate that scorpion. Was it? What did I eat?
You
Nasreen,
had
what
a
bug was that?
scorpion, and I tell
Yes.
everyone that story. I tell everyone because I always go because like I'll tell people about my travel stuff and like I mean I have dietary restrictions to begin with, but like I always think to myself, I'm like Shannon ate that scorpion. And then like I'm
I
like,
didn't eat it. I took a bite out of it. I didn't
oh,
eat the whole
okay.
thing.
And you said it was like crunchy. You said it was like potato chips. I remember.
Yeah, no, it was like a sunflower seed. It
Yeah.
didn't taste like anything. It just tasted like crunch. But that's what I did. That's what I did. I ate a scorpion when I was in Thailand. That was my out of the box thing.
Wait, is your dietary restrictions also to scorpions?
To eat
Not
them?
No, to not eat them. It's like you can't have this, and scorpions.
Well, I actually, to be completely honest with you, I have no idea if I'd be able to eat a scorpion or not. I actually don't know. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to look into it actually to know if I could eat a scorpion or not.
They're a delicacy over there, but it didn't taste like anything. It wasn't really good, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like it wasn't necessarily like a specific thing that was out of my comfort zone. But the last international trip I took outside of going to England right before the pandemic, but like the last trip I took to somewhere new, when I went to Morocco, I flew from Morocco to Portugal and I stayed in Portugal for 3 days. So I had like one or two days, I can't remember exactly, where I was solo in Morocco before I flew out. And then I did 3 days solo in Portugal. And that was really my first big international solo trip. And I wasn't scared per se, because again, like I've traveled a lot, like it didn't bother me that I was going to be there solo. It's just, I actually really, really enjoyed actually being in Portugal solo, to be completely honest. And it's not because I don't like traveling with people. I love traveling with people, but I kind of got to see what it's like to kind of do things at your very like you specific pace and do kind of whatever you want and like not have to be like worrying about like if someone else wants to do it or not. So that was a little out of my comfort zone because I was just, again, it was the first time I was going to be alone in an international country. Portugal, like I felt like that was good, similar to Ireland for you, because even though English isn't the first language there, like a lot of people, because I went to Lisbon, a lot of people in Lisbon speak English. So, I mean, and it was great. But again, like a little out of my comfort zone being there alone.
That's how I felt when I went to Belgium alone. I mean, I went there for a work trip. So when I was out of work, I got to do like stuff that I wanted to. I mean, it is nice to be by yourself because, like you said, you get to do like kind of whatever you want to do without worrying about anything. So that was fun too. So I get that. I would definitely travel again, but travel alone again.
In your surroundings, I feel like you have more awareness. And I find that when I'm by myself, and this is not to like the people I go on trips with or I hang out with, but I always find that I end up jumping out of my comfort zone in the sense that I'll talk more to people around me and then like build like really nice relationships on people like that I still keep in contact with. When I moved to this area for a long time, I would travel to a bunch of places by myself. I got to know people who like, worked in like coffee shops, or like I was eating at like a restaurant by myself. I would take a book, like all that kind of stuff. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I would 100% recommend it to anyone who I wouldn't recommend it necessarily for a first international trip. Like if you've never traveled internationally, like I wouldn't be like, go on a solo trip. Like I wouldn't tell anyone to do that. But once you've traveled a little bit and kind of gotten like into your comfort zone, like even if you do like a domestic trip on your own, like sometimes like, especially during this pandemic, like I would get in my car and I would just like drive somewhere that I haven't been. Even if it was just like a park or like whatever, like it's sometimes, like you said, Mel, like nice to kind of be with your own thoughts and kind of like, so I would 100% recommend solo travel, like to anyone.
Yeah. The one thing I regret about my solo trip is that I was afraid to ask people to take a picture of me because I was afraid to approach strangers. So I would do that again if I could.
I
didn't ask anyone. I was so scared.
No, I'm very, very anti-selfie stick or whatever those things are called. They're called selfie stick. I am so anti-selfie stick. So I made it like my goal to, if there was something that I really wanted a photo of, like with me in it, I would ask someone. I used a lot of places, like I was able to use the timer and stuff like that. Like I put it on 10 seconds, like did my little pose and whatever. But I made it my goal, like if this is a photo I'm never gonna get again, like I will ask someone. So yeah, but I get where you're coming from, Shannon, because it could be like nerve-wracking to just be like, hey, like,
and then you can only get it. You can only take it once because like then you feel weird to ask them to take it again.
So I never did. Like if someone did take a picture for me, either in Morocco or Portugal, when I was there, only one shot. Like I'm like, this better be the best picture ever because I am not going to embarrass myself and be that person. Can you just take it again? Like,
Yeah.
Well, because then you're like almost feel like you're offending them.
Yeah.
It's being like this picture is stuff. So try again. Along the lines of stepping out of your comfort zone, I guess what is something scary maybe that's happened or a situation that you're comfortable sharing?
The scariest thing that's happened was when we almost fell out of the sky in a plane. That's the worst thing that's happened.
We were going out together, okay? But that was freaking scary.
The most interesting part about this is that we were all sitting separately. So I actually want to ask what everyone's perspective was when that was happening. So there was an airplane. I can't even remember the airline we got on.
Thailand Air.
It's like never again.
It's like ingrained in your brain.
Of your podcast.
Oh, they will never. They're gonna be like, "Who are you?" Oh, no. So we got into the flight, and basically, actually, you know what? I'm the worst person to tell this because I was napping through the whole thing.
Yeah, she was asleep
through it all.
Well, first of all, that plane, I felt very uneasy about that whole flight just because the takeoff was really rough. Also, like I don't know if you remember it. Takeoff was rough. And then we were just bumping our way up into cruising altitude. It was just super bumpy the whole way. And then so we're just cruising along. It's like a 2.5-hour flight. And then all of a sudden, like the plane just goes it just drops straight.
And I did the same thing at the same time.
And then the elevator, if you feel the elevator drop a little bit, kind of just straight down. It kind of just dropped hundreds of feet.
Yeah. And we weren't, and the thing is, we weren't even sitting next to each other, right? So Mel was sitting with Julian a couple rows back. Shannon and I were in the same row, but she was the seats over, and I was again in the same row as Shannon, but next to these two guys. And again, it was so bumpy going up, and every time a plane takes off or lands, I'm always praying as it goes up and it goes down. In the middle, I'm perfectly fine, but I'm just I gotta set the tone for this and when we're landing. So whatever, it was very bumpy going up or whatever. And then I think we were probably 20 minutes into the flight, maybe.
Yeah,
that far into the flight, and like we said, it literally went from whatever altitude it was, dropped. It had to be I don't know. I can't put a number on it, but it dropped a lot of feet.
Yeah,
very quickly. Everyone on the plane screamed.
Yeah, everyone was, and that's the thing. Whenever I tell this story, people think I'm exaggerating, but I'm everyone screamed on the plane. It was not just me,
except Mel. Who kind of woke up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and the poor guy sitting next to me, I freaking if you're watching the YouTube, you can see my hand, but literally it was and I grabbed his leg,
talons right into him.
Right. Yeah, it was and that poor, thank God, we're all fine. But honestly, the two guys next to me were very nice, and they helped to calm me down, because again, I'm not an anxious flyer at all, and I'm still not that. Really, no, I know you are. It didn't really affect me per se. But they were able to calm me down a little, because it was so freaking scary. I thought we were going down.
And unfortunately, yes, that experience has made me a very anxious flyer. Every time I get on a plane now, I am a pile of anxious nerves. Every time. I went to Bali that same year. So we went to Thailand in February. I went to Bali in July, and I didn't sleep the whole way there. I was up the whole entire time because I was so anxious. And I took 8 melatonin, but for some reason I can't sleep through my anxiety when it's really that bad. So it didn't work. I was up the whole time.
Because I remember because I had never taken melatonin, but you gave me 3 on the way to Thailand, because it was such a long flight, and that knocked me out. Your adrenaline was through the roof then.
Yeah, I didn't work at all.
Have you done anything to sort of help that, or are you just gonna like keep getting on flights until it hopefully goes away?
I mean, I don't really know what I can do to help that because I mean, it's not an irrational fear. Like whenever you get on a plane, like there is always a chance that God forbid, like something could happen to the plane. So like I don't really know if there is anything that I can do to make that go away,
Yeah.
Especially since like, and then after we got back from Thailand, then like the whole like whatchamacallit, the plane crash with the 737 Max happened. And that was all over the news like shortly after we got back, and I was just like, oh, this could have been us.
It hits a little closer to home.
Yeah,
when
like that happened right after we got back too. So I was just like, that's kind of crazy.
The other crazy thing was like literally everyone screamed, people are crying, and like the staff on the plane said nothing, like not a single thing.
I know that's the thing that bugs me out. Like the pilot could have like been like, sorry about that, folks, or like something like that. Like
They
to
didn't
address
say
it, but they didn't say anything. No,
They
they didn't say
it's
anything.
a commonplace on their flights that this happens. They didn't.
Didn't we read that in the reviews after? Weren't we like looking back at reviews and like they were not that
Yeah,
great?
they were not that great.
Which we should have done probably before we booked the flight.
But I
But
mean,
these are like these cheap like connecting flights from like one place in Thailand to another that are only like an hour on
only
like cheap
takes
$20
one
flights.
that was scary. But I mean, I think for me, again, like afterwards, I got on a plane like whatever. Like I would have gotten on a plane the next, which I did. We had to come home, but I would have gotten on a plane the next day anyway. Like it didn't bother me. But I always like have heightened nerves like going through an airport because I get stopped a lot. So that's always for me like the worst part of traveling is just getting through airport security and then coming back, even coming home like through customs. I'm always very like nervous. And of course I got my like global entry and everything like approved literally like right before the pandemic happened, and I'm like, now I can't even use it right now. But yeah, so that part is always like the most nerve-wracking part for me is because I get stopped so often, like random selection and random searching and all that.
Yeah, it happened when we were going to Thailand actually, like when we were in JFK.
Yeah, when we were not when we were coming back, right? When we were
When
going.
we were going, yeah, they wouldn't let you get on the plane.
They wouldn't let me get on the plane. And Greece, when I was coming back from Greece, we had a stopover in Germany. And I had gone through I think it was the Munich airport. I can't remember which German airport we were in, but we had a stopover, and at that airport you can go back and forth through like the what's it called, like to your gate or whatever. So I had gone back and forth through security like at least 3 times at that point, just because I don't like sitting either. I don't like waiting. I'm very impatient when it comes to flights. Where I like went to the duty free shops, came back, went out to the shops again, came back or whatever. So again, been through like 3 times. And on the last time, like right before the flight was leaving, they stopped me and they were like, well, do you have this like yellow mark on your ticket? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've been through security like 3 times at this point. And they were like, well, you need to go through what I now call like super uber security. Like they had to like, they opened all my bags, they swiped my hands for like whatever they were looking for. I don't know what they were looking for, but swiped my hands. Like it was just, and they wouldn't let me on the plane. Like I literally I held up the plane actually. I had 2 friends on the flight who were like, don't take off. Like our friends still like going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always the most nerve wracking part for me is just getting to the plane, basically. So
Listen, airports, don't stop Nasreen. It happens
don't
too
stop
often.
anymore.
No, it's really it's very
It's upsetting. It's upsetting. And you know what? What upsets me even more is I know that there are people who go through it 100 times worse than I do. Like, I mean, for like, I don't know if you said my last name like when you started the podcast. I can't remember, but it if you hear my name, it kind of doesn't match up to what I look like because I have like an Asian name and I look like this. If you're listening, you can't tell, but whatever. So I feel like people think there's like I don't know. I don't know what the reason is, but like all I know is that there are people who have it way, way worse. And it makes me feel for them even more. So I don't know.
yeah.
And I'm not against security. I'm not against even like Uber security, right? But like it's just crazy to me that like I'm stopped like almost every single time I fly.
You should get it like stamped every time you get stopped. On the 10th time,
In,
You will only get stopped once.
yeah. Well, hopefully now with global entry, like now that I've been approved for it, hopefully now it's like easy sailing for me in an airport. But we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Backing up to that Thailand trip. So I had gone on the plane and I immediately took a nap. That's like what I do. I just go to sleep right away because I like naps. And so I kind of remember feeling like, shaking, but I know it's like common on planes. And I woke up and I was like, I turned to Jill and was like, why is everyone yelling?
I wish I would have slept through that. I wish that would have been. I wish that would have been me. That was.
But he didn't tell me for a good couple minutes what was happening. I remember saying like, "Why is everyone yelling?" And then he's like, "Oh, like go back to sleep. Like it's fine." Blah blah. Yeah, right. And then, but I stayed up because like I felt alert. You can feel the vibes in the room and like the energy is just not okay. And then he actually kept trying to check on both of you. Nazarene was on closer to us, I believe.
Yeah, I was
like where we were sitting. And so I think he tried to call your name a few times, but I don't know, maybe you were like hysteric. I don't know if you heard him.
hysterics.
But yeah, so I remember him trying to check up on both of you, but Shannon, I don't think you could even hear us.
No, I was
also in hysterics.
Yes, definitely. I was shaking for a while after that.
And I remember saying, knock on wood, never would want anything to happen. But if I were to go out, being asleep would be the way I would want to go out.
I don't think he would be asleep for long though if we were actually going down. I doubt
No. I definitely felt it. And everyone screaming woke me up. So
I actually have faith in Mel that she could sleep through it.
it was scary once I realized like the seriousness of it. And I feel like when I tell people that story too, they don't think it's like serious, but it was scary. It was actually very scary.
It was super scary. And now every time there's turbulence on a plane, like I'd start freaking out every time there's turbulence. It's so bad.
Have either of you had a memorable encounter on any of your trips?
Like a good one or a bad one?
Either.
I kind of feel like I feel like most places I go, there's someone like who kind of sticks out to me. So like when we were in Chiang Mai, Shannon and I, we had a tour guide named Joe who took us like up into this like mountain, like whatever, and this temple and stuff. Yeah. He was really fun. I liked him a lot. And again, it wasn't like super memorable, but he was like talking to us about American politics, I remember. Yeah. And Shannon and I were very surprised by his views on America. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like everywhere I've gone, like there's been like, and it may not even be like a super close, like get to know someone encounter. So I know like when I was in Ireland, like my friend Des and I, we went together. One night we went out to just some random small little bar and there were like this group of guys out for a bachelor party. I think they call them stag nights in Ireland or something like that. But like we were like talking to them and dancing with them or whatever. I think we may have been two of the only women in the bar. Actually, they picked the bad bar, I guess, for a bachelor party. But like that was really fun. In actually like when I was a kid, I had gone to Pakistan 3 times because that's like where my dad's from. There was a tailor there. And like, I don't actually know if his name was Mr. Pinky, but me and my sister have called him Mr. Pinky our entire lives. And like, we like will sometimes bring him up or whatever. And there was a guy also like on the corner of where my dad lived or lived when he lived in Pakistan, like that sold ice cream, who I remember. But I was a child and he had ice cream. So it was easily memorable. But yeah, I feel like everywhere I've gone, there's just been someone that like I kind of remember.
You're saying because you mentioned Pinky, the tailor, yeah. There was a coworker we had that mentioned about Pinky Taylor, a person who does suits in Thailand, and Julian got both of his suits there. So I'm like, does he have a cousin? I will say his suits are incredible, and like for the price that you get, obviously being the like difference in what is it called? Money difference, value.
Currency?
Yeah.
Currency, thank you. The difference in currency. He was able to get 2 suits for
exchange rate.
Yes, exchange rate. Thank you. I can't. Words, they're hard. If you go to Thailand and you're in
Bangkok.
Thank you. I was like, where were we at the time? If you go to Thailand, Bangkok, Pinky Taylor is a very, very nice man. Will make you a fine suit, very well tailored. And he even threw in like the shirt, also tailored to you. And he also does dresses, I believe. So there's a bunch of things you can get done. And yeah, and now we're forever in the books. So if Julian ever wants to call him up and get a new suit, he's available. So after that, we went to go eat at this little just like cafe, and there was a guy there named Baz that I'm friends with still on Instagram, and he was super nice. Started talking to us, obviously heard our English American accents, and we actually talked to him for a little bit and then exchanged information, and to this day we like I can see what he's up to and stuff, which is really nice. So
I actually had a tour guide in Morocco named Omar, who I'm friends with on Facebook. And like sometimes like he'll send me like pictures of like Morocco and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool, the people you meet along the way.
I had a really hot surf instructor when I was in Bali, and I still have him. I still have him on Facebook.
Yeah, Shannon.
So to Baz, Omar, and the hot instructor, hello. Hi.
Well, I mean, not to try to top Shannon, but I mean, Omar proposed to me after knowing me for 10 minutes. So there's that. I got more marriage proposals while I was in Morocco than I've ever had in real life. So
any interesting stories you would care to share from those?
From the
proposals? Like what is, because I've heard that you've had quite a bit. What was the most interesting way someone proposed to you?
Well, I mean, that one was just driving back from, because I did a tour of like the desert or whatever. So like we drove out and like whatever, we were on a tour bus, and it was like a small tour. So like there were people in the back, and somehow, of course, I got seated in the front between the driver and the tour guide or whatever. So we were there, and then like I had to stop at the bottom of like a mountain to pay for a rug that I bought at the top of a mountain on this tour, right? So we stop, I go into the store to pay because I was using a credit card, go into the store to pay, and he came out with me and he's like, what do you want? I'll buy you anything, blah, 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 whatever. So he bought me some bracelet or whatever. And I mean, I kept saying no, but he like kept insisting, and I was like, all right, fine, this bracelet. And it was like, whatever, it probably cost like $2 American. So it's not like I was like, whatever. He got me this bracelet, and then we got back into the tour bus, and he was just like, you can stay here, you can stay here and like stay with me and blah blah blah. And I literally thought to myself, I'm like, bro, I'm like, I just met your daughter at the top of that mountain. Like, you have a family and a wife. I'm like, I don't know what it is here, but like it's not gonna fly, right? And then another one, it was through Google Translate. So that was another one where it was, through Google Translate. I had to like read on the thing like what they were asking me. And then another one, it wasn't necessarily a marriage proposal, but he wanted me to stay in Morocco. And he spoke like full English, like, or whatever. But he wanted me to stay in Morocco with him. So, just a couple of marriage proposals. Nothing crazy.
Oh my gosh. I love those stories. They're my favorite. So you have good taste in rugs, and everyone wants to marry you. So like just a typical trip. When it comes to like stuff you've tried, cuisines and dishes, what is the like best thing you've ever had?
The best food I had was definitely in Thailand. I don't remember what the best dish I ate there was, but that was the most flavorful food I had in all the places I've been.
Mango sticky rice?
Mango sticky rice. I forgot about it. Please said it.
Great. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then when we came back, we tried to like search for restaurants that had it.
No luck. And
not at least that tastes like that.
No, and also very expensive. There was this one place we went to, and they were, 1, rude, 2, very expensive. Not paying for your mango and sticky rice. Also, I'm not.
10 out of 10 would not recommend that Thai restaurant.
I don't even remember where that was, but
I think it was definitely Westchester. I just don't remember where.
I liked that sticky rice they had.
No, we walked out.
It was a different one.
We did end up getting it from somewhere.
No, we didn't. But one night, right. Mel, myself, and Tayani went out. I think. I don't think you were
one of our other friends. We went.
Yeah, we were with another.
No,
friend.
but then we also went out again with her in Connecticut.
And that was good.
That was the good place. They were nice.
Price.
We liked them. They were very nice, and they had really good mango sticky rice.
They had really good food there, actually.
And good
The
food,
food
yeah.
was really good too. No, I agree. Like Thailand definitely had like, because I like Asian cuisine, so like it was like very flavorful and like the spices and stuff like that. But I actually mentioned this morning to someone. I went to Disney World, and Disney World, like you're eating like whatever, like theme park food, but in Epcot, the pizza place in Epcot has some of the best pizza I've ever had. Like, and also Italy. Italy had amazing food, like actual Italy, like the country. Oh my God, the food there was so good, so good. And the street food in Thailand was really good.
Yeah, the street food was.
Oh, the street food was incredible. And those people, they work. They work so hard. I think mine would be the pad thai. I remember eating pad thai almost every day we were there because I said I'm never gonna have this pad thai at home.
Yeah.
And so I ate it, I savored it, and then I was sad when I left.
Everything was good there. The breakfast was good. The street food was good.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was good.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I went to Bali, I was thinking I was going to have a similar food experience, but the food in Bali is not that great, like at all.
Really?
It's not at all anything similar.
Was it like hotel based, or you're just saying in general?
No,
like-
just in general. Like the
Okay.
food. Yeah. They don't have any like standout cuisine there, I don't think.
Listen, Shannon, they have hot surfers. They can't have both. You either get the hot surfers or you get the good food.
In Morocco, we went to my friend's mother-in-law's house, and she made some bomb couscous. Like, I literally tell her all the time, I'm like, I need to come back just so she can make me couscous. So that was really good. And then I still haven't made it. It's on my list of things like that I've tried internationally to try to make here. When I went to Finland, I forget what it's called in Finnish. It's a salmon soup, which sounds like it's not like wouldn't be good, but it's like salmon and potatoes, and it was, I'm not joking, it was one of the best things I've ever eaten. It was so good. Oh, now I'm thinking about it again. Now I have to look up the recipe and try to make it. I feel like most places I've gone, I've had something that was good, but yeah, I feel like, but like, again, like you said, like Bali wasn't really stand out for their food. Like for me, and this is gonna, like, I know people will probably message you and be like, you're crazy. Like to me, like the food in France didn't really stand out. Like,
yeah, I've been to France too, and their food, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are fighting words.
I know.
I mean, the bread is good.
Listen,
like, but they
The
don't
croissants are great.
Yeah. That's about it.
All right, Emily in Paris, where she takes a picture with like the croissant. Do either of you have any memorable souvenirs that you've either bought or just like came across on your travels? Shannon, you have a permanent souvenir on your arm.
Oh, I don't consider that a souvenir, really.
Yeah. I collect well, for my mom, I always get a spoon rest, like literally the thing you put on your stove and you put a spoon on it. I get a spoon rest for her generally, and I have started collecting, and I can show you actually. I have started collecting Christmas balls, or things I can be used as like Christmas balls. So like I have this one from Ireland. If you're watching, if you're watching on YouTube, like you can see it. Obviously you can't see it like if you're listening, but like I have this one from Greece right there.
Oh, cool.
Let's see, this one from Finland. This one's just like a ball and it says Finland on it.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Oh, this one's so pretty. This one's from Italy.
Oh, that is nice. That's a good thing to collect. Maybe I should
Yeah,
start
and you know what? Like sometimes, so like some countries, like because like Christmas isn't like the biggest there, they don't have Christmas balls that you could buy. So when I was in Thailand, I got this little elephant.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, and like I put that on the Christmas tree for Thailand. And then in Portugal they had Christmas balls, but I forgot to get one, but I got this little magnet. And like this chicken thing is like it looks like I hung the chicken, but whatever. The chicken thing is like really popular, as well as like these tiles that are on it. So I just kind of put like a hook on it, and like I use that as my Christmas ball from Portugal. But yeah, so that's what I collect like when I go away, because I'm not a souvenir person. Like I know there's people who really like them and buy a bunch and like give a bunch, like, or I'm just like, I need one thing and that's it. And this is the first year I could use them because it's the first year I had my own Christmas tree. So it was, I was so happy putting them on my Christmas tree.
I usually buy my parents magnets. I buy them for my parents, but like I don't buy anything for myself specifically.
I was gonna say it must be really nice to actually look at those, especially now that like the holidays were kind of weird because everything going on. I feel like that's a really nice memory to like look at. For me, I think it was at the elephant sanctuary. I actually can't reach it, but there's this like little elephant. It's like this big, and because at the end of us like spending time with elephants, making them food, walking with them, bathing them, and swimming around their poo. They had this little shop, remember, where we all ate and like hung out. I bought the little elephant there, so we actually have it right where our TV is. And then I also got a ring, which I'm not wearing right now, but it has an elephant on it. And I like it. I like looking at it and remembering it, like those times, because they were nice. They were nice and humbling. It was such an amazing learning experience. And now I want to live with elephants and not humans. People who work at that sanctuary make that their whole life, basically, because you can't like really take a day off. So you see their passion right in what they do and as a part of their life, which I really like.
Yeah, that's true.
What was the name of that elephant sanctuary?
Elephant Jungle Sanctuary.
Jungle?
Oh yeah, Elephant Jungle or something like that. Yeah,
that was a really good one. If anyone's going to go to Thailand, that's the one that we recommend.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's actually a sanctuary.
They have a half day and a full day, and I would definitely recommend the full day.
Yeah, definitely the full day.
We became friends with the two other couples that were on the full day
trip. Yeah. I used to get jewelry. That used to be the thing I would like collect when I went away. So, but then I realized I don't actually wear that much jewelry. So it was kind of a waste. Like I remember I bought earrings in Italy. And I got, this is like really the only piece of jewelry I wear. I got like this ring. If you are watching on YouTube, I got a Claudia when I was in Ireland, and that's really the only jewelry I actually really wear. But yeah, so then I started collecting Christmas balls because I love Christmas.
Yeah. I'm also not a big souvenir person, but if there's something that catches my eye, or like I knew that buying that from the elephant sanctuary, they say the money goes right back to the sanctuary. Those kinds of things I'll definitely purchase. But I think other than that, I try to get postcards because I have this it literally looks like a treasure chest, but it's like very small. It's like a suitcase treasure chest, and that has a ton of postcards. And I also sometimes ask my friends to get them if they're going on vacation.
Postcards are good. I should start collecting those.
That's actually probably the most affordable of things. Now that you say it out loud.
And it fits right in your suitcase. And
Smart.
It doesn't take up any room. In Ireland, at the Jameson factory, they have this bottle of whiskey, and it's the only whiskey you can only find it at the factory. Nowhere in Ireland, nowhere in the world. And so they also put your name on it or whoever you're giving it to, and it was very expensive. I said a hope and a prayer that on the way back it didn't like break in my bag, because I don't ever know how alcohol is gonna do on like bottles and pressure and all that stuff. I get nervous. So yeah, that's also kind of very memorable, and I really like it. But we haven't drank out of it yet.
You know what else? Like when we went to that elephant sanctuary, like we got the shirts that they gave us, which I mean, we didn't really, So like I still have it. Like I don't know.
I have it too, even though I
have it too.
Don't wear it. It's just taking up space.
I actually have worn it. I wore it like once or twice after we got back from Thailand.
Okay, I got a souvenir T-shirt from there, like ones that they were selling that I wear like to sleep. So,
and the dress that I bought, the elephant dress, I have that too, and that I've definitely.
All right.
Are there any type of adjustments that you've had to make?
There's a lot of dress code restrictions in a lot of places that you go, so you have to be mindful of that. And in Bali, so I guess that was my biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, like I always try to research a little bit about that, like before I go somewhere, because I want to be respectful of the culture and like what you're supposed to do when you're there. So like Shannon said, like in Thailand, you can't go into any of the temples or whatnot with like exposed skin and stuff like that. And like, I mean, I went to, other places in Asia. I mentioned I went to Pakistan as a kid. I was a kid then, so I didn't really and I didn't plan any of that. But we did go to Saudi Arabia when I was a kid, and that was, very, very different. A really interesting experience. As well, I mean, Dubai, when I went to Dubai, that's like very, it's very open to travelers or whatnot. But yeah, I always try to like just know what I'm going into, because I think like people in other countries as well as here, like, you know, like when people travel here, you want to respect the culture that you're in. You don't want to offend anyone, either on purpose, like especially not, but like inadvertently offend someone. Like you don't want to do that. So I guess I've had to make those kind of adjustments as well. Um, but I mean, if you mean just like actual adjustment, like on a trip, like I said, like, or I haven't actually mentioned it, but when we were supposed to get on a boat, when the three of us with a bunch of people went to Montreal, we were supposed to get on a boat and then got lost in an Uber. And then like, we weren't able to get on like this party boat that we were supposed to get on, and everyone else got to the boat. So like, we had to like figure out what else to do. So that was kind of an adjustment.
Yeah. I guess we could jump into that story because I just remember you were like seething. You were so mad at this man. So first of all, we kind of were crunching for time to get onto this, like, it was like a sunset cruise kind of ordeal. It goes around like the area and you can just kind of like hang out. There's music. Basically, we were crunch for time. We all got ready. We got some Ubers. And I noticed when we were in the Uber that the man's internet was not on his phone. Like it wasn't showing that it was
Uber.
It was
not
it
showing
was
directions
like
or anything.
working. Yeah. And so I was like, why is this taking longer than it should? And like, I know the area obviously because I grew up there. And it wasn't until, and I almost was like, why didn't we just get off at the bridge and like walk or like get another Uber? But it wasn't until we hit the bridge that I knew I had such low expectations for us to make it at that point. And I was like kind of quiet because I was like, everyone will figure it out. I don't even know what to say, but I think I ended up telling you because we were both sitting in the back.
And you guys know me, it takes a lot to like get me mad, but I was infuriated. That's the word I want.
Yeah, I didn't really. So I was like, this sucks, but I wasn't really as mad because of the fact that Shannon, whose birthday was 4, actually was able to get onto the boat with the rest of our friends. It was like a giant group of what, like 8, 7 people?
7 or 8, something like that.
Something like that.
But I think when we all got back to our Airbnb, we were just like, how was it? But I don't think anyone really said anything for the fear of like that people would feel bad that we didn't get on.
You guys ended up going to a party and like still had a good time?
No, we went to my cousin's house.
Yeah.
No, and I was gonna say, like, it was fun once we figured out what we were gonna do. Because also, do you remember, like, we tried to go to like 2 different, I think, clubs or restaurants or something like that, and the line was like,
oh yeah, no.
well, one, they said they were gonna open at 10, I remember, and like they didn't open, and then like 10:30 rolled around and they still didn't open the doors. And then we tried to get in the restaurant and the wait was too long. And that's when I think your cousin was like, well, just come over. And I was like, that's it. I was like, let's just go.
Yes. So, and I think he was just having a game night. It wasn't really like a party.
Yeah, it wasn't a party. It was
But I was abandoned outside on the porch. I had fallen asleep as I do. I was laying down in one of the lawn chairs that they have there, like one of those that can just like recline back, but also sit up. And I was left there. And it wasn't until the sun woke me up in the dawn time that I noticed that nobody else was outside. Actually, kind of it felt like I went camping, but with like a really nice dress and heels on.
And we didn't get back to the Airbnb, actually, I think, until probably like 6 in the morning.
Yeah, you guys got back super like, yeah.
Early in the morning.
I wouldn't have felt so mad if the man who got us lost he didn't really feel bad. He didn't do anything.
Yeah. But I actually, like, at one point I started getting nervous. I was like, are we like, because he was heading, remember we said, like you said, it's like, you're heading towards America. And I was like,
no, he got on the bridge. Yeah, he got on the bridge. I was like, where are you going? Like, and I mean, I should have called it out before. I'm kind of hesitant because I'm like, people obviously know they live here. They're Uber drivers. I'm not going to like tell someone how to do their job. But then as soon as we hit the bridge, I was like, well, 1, we're headed to America. 2, we're probably not making it back because the traffic back was like,
crazy. We sat in that Uber for probably 2.5 hours total.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was not good. If I've learned anything, don't sit in a car with Nasreen when she's pissed.
Yeah, I was not, I will say, I'll be honest, I was not nice. Not to like you and Anna.
No. I think we've all shared the same sentiments. I think we all
verbalize them.
Yeah, we all showed them in different ways. But But we were all on the
I
same.
did it in a Jersey way. So for anyone who knows what that means.
Yeah. It's the reason we love you. So what are some of the coolest things you've met from people on trips or people that you travel with, or I guess some things that you may advise traveling with people?
Wait, what? Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So sorry, those are kind of like a two thing. So coolest things you've ever learned from traveling just in general or from people you're around. And then the other things like, is there anything you like regret, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have traveled in this way with somebody, or just don't travel by this flight?
I think for me, and like you guys could like speak to this as well, because I remember when we were planning Thailand, I had said it. Like I always, because like a lot of times like I'll be like I want to go somewhere and then like ask someone or whatever, a couple people, like, does anyone want to go, right? But I tell everyone like before I actually plan a trip, I'm like, one, I walk everywhere. I was like, so you need to be prepared to walk everywhere. And it's not because I don't want to use like public transportation, because we used, what were they called when we were in Thailand?
The tuk-tuks.
Tuk-tuks. Yeah, I was gonna call it a chingchi, but that's what it's called in Pakistan. So like I take it if I have to, and like obviously like I took buses places and tour buses places and stuff. But when I'm in the city itself, like any place that's walking distance, I walk everywhere. And I warn everyone, like I wake up at like whatever 6-7 o'clock in the morning, have breakfast, and I am not in that hotel usually until 10-11 o'clock at night. And that's just how I am. I'm not like traveling to like see the inside of a hotel room. So I think like knowing yourself and your travel ways is important to like having a good trip, because then, and like obviously you need to have, like you need to what's the word? You need to be able to compromise a little bit with stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to be like, okay, like if you don't want to like walk everywhere, like we can't take a train, or like if you guys want to take a nap, like you can't take a nap, like whatever. It's just like, know that I may separate myself then from whatever time period. And it's like, okay, cool. Like we'll meet again later or something like that. So again, I think knowing yourself and your travel habits is important to travel with people.
Yes, along those lines, also being open to other people and the way they also travel is a good thing. I don't think I could ever travel with somebody who's like completely a certain way, because there always has to be some type of compromise. But well, cool fun fact, elephant poop could be made into soap and paper. Those are the coolest things I've learned.
I would have to say that yes, I agree.
We haven't used it.
I still have the soap too.
I bought the soap for someone else, but I would not use it.
No, I'm not using it. No,
I bought it for Sue, because she's like, she loves elephants. Sue was my old boss, because she loves elephants. So like she thought it was like the coolest thing in the entire world.
They have the cleanest poop.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm not using the soap.
Yeah, me personally, I was not about the poop soap. Something cool I learned actually was when I was in Finland. One, I learned that Santa Claus lives in Finland.
Oh.
That's what they told me. And we went to Santa Claus's village. But the actual thing that I learned while I was there is that reindeer are not very nice. I didn't know that. Reindeer are not very nice animals. I did feed one, which was really cool. But again, they're not the nicest animals. And the sled dogs, they stink really bad because they don't bathe them.
Didn't you ever watch Jingle All the Way?
Yes.
The reindeer there wasn't very nice.
It was not nice. And I relearned that this year when I watched it again. I hadn't watched it in years and years.
Yeah.
I said actually to my brother and sister while we were watching it, I was like, I found out that reindeer are not nice. They're not all like, well, actually, you know what? I should have known that, because have you ever heard Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? All of those reindeer were so mean to Rudolph. I should have known. But yeah, no, that was kind of like cool to learn, like, because again, I've never been around reindeer like here, so I learned that. And again, the sled dogs, like, you think they're like fluffy huskies and they're like so pretty and stuff like that, but they are stinky when they're actually sled dogs. Like,
they're working hard.
And again, like I said, they don't bathe them. They just kind of like roll around in the snow, and that's kind of like their bath, but it does not help.
I think learning about the temples, also about the monks and how they like their rituals. I think that was learning about what Buddha.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the Buddhas.
The
Yeah.
day of the week that you're born, you have a Buddha.
I don't remember what mine was.
Neither do I.
Quick Google search will help you with that. What's the first place you both want to go to once everything opens up again?
Well, like I said, my trip to Japan got canceled, so I'll probably do that first. And then I was also planning. I want to go to Egypt. Right,
Mm.
we talked about that, Nasreen, but then
Yeah,
that
we
also
talked
was
about
not.
it.
That also wasn't gonna happen. So those are the two places I would want to go first and second, I think.
Yeah, like Shannon just mentioned, like I was planning a trip to Turkey and Egypt this past October. I was supposed to go, and that all got canceled. So that's definitely on my list, and probably will. Well, again, didn't really like. I didn't pay for anything for the trip yet and stuff like that. So maybe it'll change up, but I really want to go there. And then I really, really want to go to Germany and Austria, which I'm pretty sure I've actually technically been there. My parents went on a Euro trip when I was like 2. So I don't necessarily count it because I can't remember. But I really, really want to go to Germany. Germany. That's a country I made up. Germany and Austria as well. So
I was
those
in Germany
4.
for 12 hours on my way back home from Bali. I had a layover there, if that counts. I saw the inside of a Germany hotel.
Oh, yeah, I saw the inside of the German airport, which I may not have been able to leave. So, but yeah, so those would probably be the first 4 places I would go.
We had a trip planned. We had everything paid for. It was going to be a road trip in Canada. We were going to go to Quebec. We were going to go to Toronto and then Niagara Falls and then head back. It was like a 4-day trip. It wasn't anything crazy. Actually, it was like a week because we were going to break it up. But basically, that was so the shutdown had happened, or not the shutdown, actually. It was like COVID's happening, all this crazy stuff. And I said, let's cancel our trip. And he was like, I don't think they would ever close the borders. Like, that sounds crazy. And like, I would talk to people about it, and there's like, there's no way, there's no way. And I was like, well, let's do it anyways. We could always replan for a different time if anything happens. Got most of our money back and got a coupon from Airbnb. So shout out to you, Airbnb, for giving us like a $40 coupon that we can reuse. I still want to do that road trip because there's just a lot that I haven't seen either since I was a kid or that he hasn't seen at all. And then we wanted to go to Banff in October. Didn't book anything for that, but I would definitely want to go there again. So basically Canada. First place I'd go to is go visit my family in Montreal because I haven't seen my nieces or nephews in like so long. But then after that, go make our way up. And then Italy. I would love to go to Italy and stay in like the different towns and villages and along the coast would be really beautiful. What do you both consider to be something magical about like going to all these different places?
I guess experiencing the different cultures and just seeing the sights is always something magical to me because, you don't see it often or ever because it's the first time you've been there. So I think that's it for me.
I say this all the time, like, and like I said, like earlier, like I'm someone who can kind of go anywhere. Like again, like you pick a country and I'll go. Like it doesn't necessarily matter to me where I am. What I like about traveling is that sometimes, like, depending on where you're going, you have like these preconceived thoughts about like where you're going and like what you're gonna see and who you're gonna meet and how people are and how people live and like all this stuff. And then you get there and like the biggest thing I think I've learned from traveling is that no matter where you go, like people are just like waking up in the morning, going to work, going to school, doing their thing, and just like getting through the day. Like the actual like day-to-day, everyday things, like we're all just the same when it comes to that, right? Like we're just trying to get through and like make it to the next day. But learning the different cultures and whatnot and seeing how different that plays out for people, like whether that be in their clothing or their food or their whatnot, like that to me is what is one of the best things about traveling. Like I love it. Like just like and even just talking to like locals and stuff like that, like honestly, it's like if you have the means and the ability to travel, like do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. It's life changing.
Also, when you meet people, you have to know that like at some point both of your paths had to align so that you could meet, especially people that you like later keep in contact with and you learn about their lives. And like at some point, everything had to line up for you to all meet. And I also think the history back then in a lot of countries and places, there wasn't like this giant machinery that could just place things where they are. Everything was so intricate. There was so much detail, and it was all just like literally made by people and their hardworking hands. And so having appreciation for that then leads me to like think about the lives people have led, and also like what people bring to, like America or like Canada or like more of the countries that are more melting pot, that like we can have Thai food because someone brought that influence over, and then it became like what it is now at restaurants and all that stuff. So just having an appreciation for the fine attention to detail.
I have a question. Is there
Yeah.
anywhere that you guys kind of either like apprehensive about visiting or like want to visit but you're not so sure? Like, because again, like I said, I'm someone who can just be like point and like, okay, I'm going to Tanzania, like, which by
Yeah.
the way is beautiful and gorgeous and on my list. My cousin has been several
I was
times.
about to say, you've been to Tanzania when?
No, I haven't been to Tanzania. I've been, I think I've done 17 countries.
Mm.
I think so. Counting Canada and Mexico, because obviously they're different countries. I think I've done 17 or 18, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think so, only because I was watching a video on this recently, because whilst we've been in quarantine, I like to watch other people's travels of like prior, like the years before or whatever. I'll just Google like travel vlogs and I'll pick one. But usually I'll just like, again, spin a globe. I could point to somewhere and I'll enjoy it and like learn about it. And recently someone posted a video of them recently in Egypt, and they said this doesn't happen to everybody, and it could be because he had like an immense amount of equipment, because his full-time job is like doing like travel vlogging, all that stuff. Is that the airport took away a bunch of his lenses and cameras and equipment, and then coming out of the hotel their first day or like around that time, they got basically assigned some type of agent that just followed them everywhere and would like take a picture of the only girl that was on the trip with them, and like just made them sort of feel uncomfortable. He said luckily the person was really nice, so there wasn't really a worry of like the person being mean. But yeah, I guess it would be something that you don't expect. So you're like, you kind of expect to be able to just go out, but then you walk out of a hotel and someone's basically following you until you ask them like, what's up? And then they tell you, oh, I've been assigned to follow you all day. It's kind of like a little unsettling.
There was a period of time when there was a lot of uprising in Egypt.
Yeah.
Is that when that was happening? That's probably
No, this was like this past month or whenever.
never mind.
Yeah, the
Yeah, no.
uprisings and stuff I think were in but sometime between I think 2010 and 12, I think, like around there.
Yeah, no, this was like
Early 2000, late 2000s.
this was recent. I would still want to go there and experience it because I think Egypt is really beautiful.
I mean, yes, like there are look, like if there's a civil war going on in a country, I'm not going to go there, right? It's like it's not going to happen. Like I'm not saying I would do that. I'm not going to outwardly like risk my own safety. That being said, like I'll go anywhere. My mom has been to Syria. That was obviously before the war. Like, so it's just as long as things are pretty much under control,
Mhm.
I'll take the chance, because like honestly, like what? I mean, anything can happen anywhere, right? I mean, and we live in New York, right? Where it could be dangerous in New York. It could be dangerous just to walk out your front door. Like, so I don't mean like New York is dangerous when you walk out your front door. I mean like you walk out your front door and like, God forbid, whatever, you can get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
So I'm pretty open to going anywhere where things aren't completely like out of control.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I would pretty much go anywhere too, as long as it's safe at the time.
Yeah.
Yes. And now I just have a quick rapid fire this or that kind of game that I like just came up with. Who's most likely to get lost between the three of us?
Me. Oh, I would have said it was me.
I would say it's me, probably.
I would say it's both of you.
I have no sense of direction, so it was definitely
Yeah, I have zero sense of direction. And I walk everywhere, so that kind of adds to it. But we did pretty well by ourselves in Thailand, Shannon.
Yeah, we did. But other than that, I feel like that was lucky. Other than that, I don't know how to read a map. I don't like, I'm just very like, I have no sense of direction.
Who's most likely to miss a flight
Mel.
Yeah.
No.
No,
I would say
no. I don't think she's most likely to miss a flight. I
That's
think she's
true.
most likely to miss like meeting time for an excursion or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense because
Yeah.
she was very like regimented, I guess, when it comes to like leaving for an airport. Okay, so maybe it's
Oh wait, I was gonna say you, Naz, only because I will leave for an airport and I'll sit in an airport for like 3 hours before the
Yeah, me
flight
too. I will.
because I like getting coffee and just chilling. I like people watching.
and I despise
Well,
it.
you hate it, so I can see you getting stuck in traffic and missing it, not because you wanted to, but because it just happened.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I really do. I absolutely despise
That's
waiting.
true. Because Nasreen got to the airport pretty late when we left for Thailand. Not late, but like pretty like close.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty close.
I think I probably got there like an hour before the flight.
Shannon, would you have left without her? You can be honest.
What? I
Would
mean,
you
if
have-
she was, I don't know. That's hard. It's hard to say. I wouldn't have left. I don't know. Maybe.
I would ask what the policy is because I would also tell my
Please,
friends to
if
leave.
it ever happens, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I would tell my friends to leave and that I'll catch up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've only missed one flight though, ever.
Yeah, see, that's why you're most likely to miss a flight.
Nope. I still blame it on the airline, and I won't mention the airline, but I still blame it on the airline. And it wasn't even because of security. Like I remember that time specifically, I got through security quickly. It was the agents at the desk that I specifically blame it on, but it's fine. It was domestic. I was going to Nashville. I was going to Nashville and I missed my flight down. Yeah.
Did you ever make it?
Yeah, I did. They put me on the next flight. And actually, like, 2 of my friends arrived at the airport at the same time that new flight was landing. So we all just kind of met up at that point and then, like, went to our hotel.
Nice. Packing heavy or packing light?
Heavy.
Light.
I don't know how to pack light. That's why I had to pay the overcharge fees every time we went on a connecting flight to Thailand. And my bag was like 50 pounds.
But that was also why, like, you remember, like, when we, like, checked into that flight, the one that basically fell, like, they were just like, it's fine. I was like, if you say that to everyone, the plane's going to be too heavy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I tend to pack light, but I bring way too many pairs of shoes. That's
okay.
And you wear heels a lot, so it's big shoes.
Yeah.
I think I pack light and I don't pack that many shoes. I don't think I pack the necessities, but a lot of the stuff I wear, I can like pair up with other things.
I wish I knew how to do that. I pack way too many outfits. Yeah, way too many.
I do the same thing as Mel, but again, there's no reason for me to bring. I don't remember if it was Miami or no, it may have actually just been AC. I was going to Atlantic City, and my friend Karen and between the two of us, we must have had at least 12 or 13 pairs of shoes for one night. Atlantic City. So that tells you about my shoe problem.
I posted it when I was packing for Belgium because I went to Belgium for 2 weeks for work. I posted a picture of my packing progress on Instagram, and there was like it was a whole pile of clothes there. My friend DM'd me and she was like, she was like, you don't need all that. And I was like, I don't know what to do. She was like, I feel like I had like 12 pairs of jeans. And she was like, you don't need that many pairs of jeans. Like you can rotate the jeans, bring like 3 pairs. And I was like, oh, you're right. So then I ended up cutting out a lot. I was like, okay.
What's an item you must have on your flight? One thing. If you can only bring one thing, what could it be?
I mean, can I cheat and say my carry-on bag that has the stuff inside?
No.
Something to read.
I don't know.
Melatonin. So because I need to go to sleep on flights now. I have to have that. I don't want to be awake at all.
I don't know.
I would say either my camera or a journal because I've actually journaled at every trip I've ever gone to internationally. Window seat or aisle seat?
I'm 110% aisle seat because I go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. So I have to have an aisle seat. I like the window seat because I like looking out, but I have to get an aisle seat. So I will pay the extra if I have to on a flight to pick my seat.
I used to like the window seat, but now that I'm afraid of flying, I prefer the aisle. I don't want to see out the window at all. Really?
I also say window seat. We had a red eye to Ireland, and I remember saying, "Oh, I want to catch like the sunrise or like that part where you're like in between the light and darkness." And it was actually really pretty. The picture is doing no justice, but I think I also pick window seat. Music, movies, or reading on a flight.
Movies.
Yeah, movies.
I feel like movies make the time go by the fastest.
Yeah.
Plain food or no?
Depends on the airline, I think.
Depends on if you have to pay extra for it.
Mhm. All the food that we had, the food that I had on the way to Thailand and the food that I had on the way to Bali on the plane was actually really good. So
I've never had like horrendous food on an airline. I mean, look, you're not going to get like a gourmet meal on an airline. So I never expect to get a gourmet meal on an airline. That being said, it does depend on if I need to pay extra or not for the meal.
I will say PAL, which is the Filipino airline. That's what we took coming back because we stopped in the Philippines, coming back from Thailand. Best food I ever had. It was like a full meal. You had choice between chicken, steak, some type of seafood, or something like that. And they just had a bunch of options, even for breakfast. It was like you could have porridge or you could have like eggs and like stuff that comes with eggs. And it was
our meal options were good too on our flight too. I forgot what we had exactly, but
to Thailand, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I forget what airline we took to Thailand, but it was
We flew Eva.
It was a really good airline.
Mm-hmm. It was.
The food wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Food was not bad.
Yeah. Talk to the person next to you on a flight.
Yes, I do.
I have talked to people next to me on the flight. Do I always want to? Because then it's kind of like you're stuck. You don't know when to stop talking. Like you don't know when it's like, okay, like stop talking to me now. I want to like do my own thing. But then they keep talking to you forever, and I'm just like, you know, I don't know.
It depends on like where the conversation is going, right? So like coming back from Portugal, I think it was like there was a guy sitting next to me on the plane, and he was, I guess, around our age-ish, like around there. And we talked like for the whole flight back. But then there was another time where I was flying and there was like this like older, I guess, businessman person like next to me. And like, he wanted to talk for like hours and hours, and he was like droning on. And I was like, bro, I just want to go to sleep. So yeah, you kind of don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say yes, depends. There is sometimes where I just don't want to talk to anybody because I'm just so tired. And I feel rude just like, because you both know I just like, I'll like fall asleep. We can be in a middle conversation. I'll like be out. But there was this sweet woman. She was older and she sat next to me coming back from Ireland. And we were talking about like food that I had there, and her husband like worked in New York, so she traveled between both countries all the time. So she was just heading to New York to meet up with her husband. And she actually gave me a recipe, and it's in the back of my journal. I had it right in the back of my journal.
What recipe for?
I can't. It was a recipe to a sauce I had that was over some pork chops I had while I was there. It was like an Irish dish. I can't remember it, so I'm probably not doing it any justice. But at one point, because it was the whole flight after, besides giving me the recipe, the whole flight she was talking and she was telling me about her son, and like her son, he and his girlfriend broke up, and so yeah, I was like, she like tried to get like my name and all this stuff, and she's like, well, if we ever meet up, and I'm like, yeah. But she was like showing me pictures, but then we had a good trade-off because when there was time for us to have food, she really wanted wine. So I would get her all the wine and she would give me her extra, like not like what she didn't want, but like we would like negotiate. We had like a little barter system going on. So yeah, she's just like, the only way she has an accent, I can't copy it, but the only way she could go like deal with flights is to drink wine.
But why couldn't she get her own wine? Why'd you have to get her wine?
I think there was limited amounts you could get. So I think
okay.
Two. And I really didn't want any. I really just wanted coffee because that's kind of what I go to. So I asked for my 2 wines, but then I like passed them on to her. And like I remember we landed and I looked at her tray and it was like just stack of cups with like, wine and water.
So what's the best place you guys have visited? That's my last.
Oh, best place.
I don't think we talked about it. Like our favorite place we've seen.
I will say the things that I experienced in the places. So the Titanic exhibit in Northern Ireland, I suggest everyone go to it. One, because it gives you a sense that Titanic was a real life event that happened, or like tragedy. It wasn't just a movie. And so they have at that exhibit, one, the building on the outside. I think this was a fun fact that the tour guide gave, but the building on the outside, all the like, if you ever see what it looks like, it almost looks like little spikes or like things that are overlapping. Each one of that is for someone who passed away during that tragedy. And the benches outside of it, if you look bird's eye view, is the distress signal, or like the Morse code they sent. So they go through a series of how they got things from the ocean. And one of the things they were able to sort of fix, or like find from the students who did this, was the voices of people who were going through stuff at that time. And I think at that point I really wanted to cry, because it was just, you could just feel the presence in there, especially because they were able to preserve, or like find these audio clips of people who were going through it. So they mixed that with like just a bunch of stuff. And so you kind of take the journey through all that. And it just makes you realize that, like, one, like these people were like, some people were just going on vacation, some people were, going to try to find work, and they just didn't know what was going to happen. And not only that, but the families, that have to then deal with all that, as well as the people who have to go in and find everybody. It was very heavy. Sorry, that took a dark turn.
How about you, Shannon?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know my favorite vacation was Thailand. I think that was my favorite place that I've been. But I don't really know what was my most favorite experience. I cannot recall it right now. Come back to me, maybe I'll know. But I know for a fact my favorite place that I've gone has been Thailand so far.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, if you do just like North America, like, which I know we were talking a lot about international travel. So I'm gonna like keep this one outside, but Old Quebec in Quebec is one of my favorite places in the world. But if you don't count Canada as international, like, so I mean, it is international, but whatever. If you don't count it, then it's a three-way tie. And the way I judge if like I have fallen in love with the country is if I cry when I'm leaving, and two, if I come home and plan an entire life in that country, which I have done. But it's a three-way tie between Ireland, Morocco, and Thailand. Those three countries, I cried coming home, and I planned when I lost my job mid-pandemic, the only jobs I applied to at the beginning, all of them were in Ireland. I was ready to like, bye America, I'll see you later.
Would you do it if you had an offer?
If I had an offer, I would have. Yeah.
Great. I'll have somewhere to visit.
Yeah. You got totally, everyone is welcome. Well, everyone is in the two of you. Julian can come too. Yeah, no, the three, and to your point, like, for me, it's the experiences I had in those countries. It wasn't necessarily anything about the country itself per se, but like Ireland, I just found, well, one, phenomenally gorgeous. Like, what you imagine it to look like is like, doesn't do it justice.
Oh my gosh, it's like a movie. I remember flying into the country, and it was like the patches of like, Hollywood. Am I here? Like,
it is one of the most beautiful places to fly in yeah. That being said, Phuket, when we flew into Phuket in Thailand, gorgeous.
Oh yeah, after the terror of almost dying, that was very nice.
Yeah. But it was, again, Ireland, it's gorgeous, but I think in Ireland it was the people that I met while I was there. Like, it was the most open, fun, like, just I'm in love.
They're very nice.
That's what it comes to. And then in Morocco, like, literally you could be walking down the street and people will be like talking to you. Like, even if you can't understand them, they don't care. They will still be like trying to like have a conversation with you, and like, whatever, like, do you want a cup of tea? Do you want this? Do you want, whatever. Maybe they'll try to marry you. I don't know.
That's how you can make your life there.
Oh my God, that is how I can make my life there. I should contact any of those. Look, we're friends on social media with my potential husbands, so
If they listen, they might try to reach out again. You
yeah,
know?
maybe, who knows? No, I think I'll skip that route. I think I'm gonna go to the work route if I move to another country. And then Thailand, it was just honestly, I think Thailand was so memorable because like you guys came, like we went
Aw.
together.
Aw, that was fun.
It was a good fun trip.
That was a really good trip. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Really good trip.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so nice. Thank you both for coming on for this trial of different stories.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen. Is there anything else anyone wants to say?
I want this pandemic to be over so that I can go somewhere
Yeah.
desperately
Famous last words.
done.
Yes. And with that, everybody, I'll talk to you later. Bye.